started to wonder if these people were even grieving my mom. I really did. I still can't wrap my mind around these people thinking that any of this was okay. Anyway, after I got these emails, I did not respond. I forwarded them to my attorney and I never responded to them. It was 4 days later, after my brother sent me this email, I got a text from Kara, who lives across the street from my mom's house. Kara had texted me a few times and I didn't see it right away. So I pick up my phone, I look at my text, and it's like, yeah, there's a tow truck in your mom's driveway right now. And then, like, the next text is like, yeah, they're repossessing your mom's car. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? I call her up. She tells me that a flatbed came. Her and Jeannie were both outside. They ran across the street. They talked to the guy. And the guy, which he probably shouldn't have done, but thank God he did, he allowed my neighbors to go in my mom's car and take out all her personal belongings, which was really nice. You know, they explained to him that my mom passed away and this and that. And thank God we were able to get at least something. But there went my mom's Honda CRV on the flatbed. And I had no idea where it went, okay? And so now at this point in time, I was like, I need to start looking into things and seeing what happened here. Her email was on my service because we have email through our internet provider. Sorry, I have an email account through my internet provider. Our internet provider is called Optimum. And so she got rid of Optimum and she didn't want to get rid of her email. So I asked if they could transfer her email over to my account. And they did. So I had her username and password because I had to set her account up on my account because she got Verizon. I realized I had to start looking into what was going on here because I'm like, you know, my brother's telling me that he's paying all the bills. Why is the car getting repossessed? Nothing's making sense and adding up, okay? After my mom died, my brother and his wife removed every bill out of my mom's house. Like old bills, new bills, everything. I had no idea where the mail was going, so I couldn't see any of these accounts or anything like that. And I'm just like, okay, let me call Honda up. So I call up Honda and they will not talk to me. And I just gotta tell you guys this was like very upsetting to me. I wanted to find out where my mom's car went. I get on the phone with this guy and they were very fucking nasty. My mom's account obviously was in default at this point in time. And so they're like pissed off, I guess. They don't have their money and it's in collections now. You know, I'm trying to find out where my mom's car is so that we could go, you know, pay for it and get it out and whatever, right? Because I really thought we would make more money selling it privately. Because you know when they auction cars off, you don't get like the full value for them. Now I knew my mom had $5,000 left on her car loan at that point in time because she was almost done paying it off. She had a Honda Accord. She traded that in I think 2013. So her car was only 3 years old at the time. And she got a lot of money for her Accord when she traded that in, and so her car payment was ridiculously low. So she had $5,000 left on her loan. Honda seemed to hold value because they're very reliable and everything like that. I felt like we should get the car back out of the impound yard, even if it cost us like $500, it might be worth it. So I'm trying to find out where my mom's car is. I call up Honda Finance and they will not tell me anything. What they told me was, you're gonna need to talk to Satan, my brother's last name and my maiden last name, because she has power of attorney and knows what's going on. So I'm pissed off at this point in time. I'm like, excuse me. First of all, I tell the guy, that is not a blood relative. I am her daughter. How could you give the information to a complete friggin' stranger who is not related to my mom? But you can't give me the information, and now my hands are tied. I don't have letters of administration. There's nothing I could do. I was furious. This wasn't the first place that I had called up and heard her name being repeated back to me. I also should mention here that Satan never took my brother's last name. She never legally changed her name, but she used it conveniently in times like this when, you know, it would help her out, which just really pissed me off. I was flipping out, okay? I'm thinking, she gave him a power of attorney. If she has a power of attorney, it's fake. If she gave you a power of attorney thing over my brother, that shouldn't matter either because he has no authority to be speaking on behalf of my mom either. He doesn't have letters of administration. So I can't find out where my mom's car is. And I gotta tell you guys how distressing that is because it's like, this is my mom who I took care of. I know everything about my mom and what's going on in her life. And I can't find out where my mother's car is, okay? And obviously, my brother's an asshole. And my lawyer told me not to, like, really talk to them. My hands are tied. I was crying. I was so upset. It was fucked up. But at the very least, I have to again thank Kara and Jeannie for getting as much as they could out of my mom's car for me. Thank you. It was all junk, but at least they got it for me. I still didn't answer nobody's emails at this point in time. I was not talking to any of them. I was at the time still in contact with my mom's youngest sister. We'll call her Aunt Dana. All right. I talked to her, she had me over for my birthday that year and for Christmas, and I was very grateful. Okay. My Aunt Dana, and me were very close too. I used to talk to her all the time. When we were going through this situation that happened between my cousins back in the day, I felt like I was alone during that time. But thank God for her, because we carried each other through that situation. And so my Aunt Debbie knew that I was close to my Aunt Dana, and she tried to use that to her advantage. Now, my Aunt Dana at the time, she was dealing with a lot of shit, okay? My uncle had a stroke that year. He was getting hip replacement surgery within this life. She just has a lot personally going on. I'll just leave it at that. We tried to be understanding that she had a lot going on herself too. That was very serious. And so, I didn't bother her with really telling her too much about what was going on with my situation, because I knew she was dealing with her own problems, and I didn't want to burden her with what was going on in my life. Especially knowing that she was so nervous about the surgery that my uncle was getting. It was a very serious, operation that he was getting. And so I tried to not really talk about all that kind of shit and be respectful of what she was going through at the time. At the same time, there were times where I was forced to have conversations with her about it, because she would bring it up to me. I wouldn't force it on her. And that was how I handled this whole thing. I did not force this on anybody, okay? The only people I really talked to it about it with was my husband, obviously, my cousin Nico, and Jeannie and Kara. My mom's cousin, Karen, who lives in Florida. Those were the people that got me through this. Thank God for them, because that was my support during this. So my Aunt Dana, I didn't want to burden her, and I just tried to keep it minimal with her, you know what I'm saying? My Aunt Debbie, on the other hand, had absolutely no respect for what my aunt was going through, in my opinion. My Aunt Dana did not say that. That's my opinion. I feel as if she was very disrespectful. She started calling my Aunt Dana up because she knew that my Aunt Dana talked to me, and she would use my Aunt Dana to manipulate me. She'd be like, tell Leanna that Carol's house is gonna go into foreclosure. What are you talking about? My mom's house isn't gonna go into foreclosure. They were basically trying to bully me and scare me into dropping my objection to them being executors to the will. So they started using my Aunt Dana as a way to, scare me. So they would call her up and tell her things. They'd be like, Kellyanne Carol's house is going into foreclosure. Tell her she better find out where her mom's car is. All her stuff is in there. They were trying to scare me. And I knew better. As I said, I'm a pretty smart person. I might not look that smart. I might not sound that smart. But trust me, I'm smarter than I look and sound. I was just ignoring most of it. As we went through the month of April, and my aunt, was getting closer to her husband's surgery, and it was just, it was crazy. I started getting really pissed off, because she didn't need this in her life. She didn't need all this bullshit on top of all the serious shit she was already going through. And trust me, my Aunt Debbie was well aware of what my Aunt Dana was going through. It just goes to show how petty, and they have no heart for people. They really don't. So I started really getting pissed off, not really because of what they were saying, but because they were doing this to my Aunt Dana, because it was starting to really upset her, and she just didn't want to be involved in this. So I think it was around the end of April. I finally reached out to my attorney, and I'm like, listen, what's going on here? Where are things going? Because right at that point in time, everything was just in limbo, waiting to see what happened. I didn't want to take this to court. I did not want to go through litigation. It was going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and it would be a waste of money. That was not my plan. As you guys could see in those emails from my brother and my aunt, Betty, they seemed to be under the impression that I was trying to hire a public administrator. A public administrator is basically an attorney that the court will appoint to basically settle the estate. That would happen in situations where there's no executor and nobody comes forward to claim administration, or it will happen in situations where the parties cannot get along and too much time is going by and assets are being wasted, or if the executor is not doing their job, that's when they'll assign a public administrator. I don't know where we got that impression that that's what I was trying to do, because that's not what I was trying to do. The hopeful outcome was that my aunts were going to resign from being executors. In that case, my attorney explained to me that pretty much the only way I was going to be able to become an executor of my mom's estate was by being co-executor with my brother. And then my attorney told me that we could possibly get my brother knocked out, due to his behavior and the way he's been doing things. And so on that, I put a lot of faith in him. He made a lot of promises to me that there was a possibility of me becoming the sole executor. One more thing I have to explain that I don't think I explained to you guys. And then this was another reason why I wanted to stop my brother's administration petition that he filed. His improper administration petition. One of the reasons I wanted to put the kibosh on that was because my brother potentially, and I don't know if this is why he did it, but my brother could have potentially collected a fee for being the administrator if he was the sole executor / administrator. Same thing, okay? Why should he get more money than me? No. My aunts, if they were executors, they potentially could have collected a fee too. They could have gotten anywhere from 1% to 3%. Now, my aunt said that they weren't going to collect this fee. I don't know if I believe that. I feel like my Aunt Debbie, she probably wouldn't have wanted it, but my Uncle Bob, that motherfucker, I think he would have made my Aunt Betty collect the fee. My Aunt Debbie might have collected the fee, but I feel like she would have gave it to my brother. I could be wrong. I'm just speculating. But why should these get any of my mom's money? That was another part of us knocking them out as executors. You're not getting any of my mom's money. I also just want to add to this a side note that, I didn't know shit about executors or estates or anything like that. And so you put a lot of trust into your attorneys because, they know this stuff, or at least you want to believe they know this stuff and they're going to lead you in the right direction. And so I put a lot of trust and faith in my attorneys thinking that they knew what they were doing. My attorney kind of made it seem like we'll get your aunts out, we'll knock them out of the box and then we'll knock your brother out next. But nothing was going on. So I'm like, are we just waiting for this court date to come, or what the going on? We went a month or two in limbo where nothing happened. I just wanted to explain this to you guys so that you guys understand what the purpose of all this was and my objection and where things were hopefully going to go was me being the executor, or at least co-executors with my brother. That was the objective. So the other thing I started to do now was to look into things, because I'm like, my brother told me he was paying all these bills and he's not paying the bills, obviously. He, in one email he's telling me he's paying bills, and then in the other email he's telling me the house is going to go into disrepair and squatters are going to take over. It's this whole far-fetched scenario that he thought was going to scare me, but it didn't. I couldn't get any information from anybody on the phone. Nobody would talk to me. At that point in time, I realized I was like, dude, I'm so stupid. I could look online. I had my mom's phone. I had access to her email. I decided that any accounts that I didn't know the password for, which pretty much I knew all of them, I could change the password because I had her email. And I had her phone. Even though her phone was shut off, I still had access to her email, both of her emails. I had started a new one too through her new cable provider. I go on her Honda account, okay? And I was able to get in using the username and password. She pretty much used the same one for everything. I get into her Honda account. There was no information about the car. I couldn't find out where it was or anything that was going on with it, whether it was being auctioned, nothing. I had no access to that. But what I did find on there, and I'm going to show you guys this. You can see I took this screenshot at 2 o'clock in the morning, because this is what I was doing at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can see it's my mom's truck, 2013 CRV. Her name is on the account. And for privacy reasons, I obviously can't show you guys all the information. but I crossed out just enough to let you guys know exactly what was going on. So you could see where it says garage address, and that's my mom's home address, and then billing address. The billing address was changed. My brother's wife changed the billing address to their attorney's office. First of all, their attorney could have gotten in some pretty serious trouble for doing that. Why? The only reason that Satan was able to talk to the people at Honda was because my brother's name was signed on my mom's death certificate, which he made sure that happened at the hospital because he probably thought it was going to give him, again, a leg up when he went to go file this administration proceeding. Let's just say the will didn't exist. My brother wanted to make it look like he was the one caring for my mom on paper, because if I would have went to go file my own administration proceeding, which I very well could have done, he would have had a leg up on me. And this is why my brother was so concerned about the healthcare proxy in the hospital, because he wanted to get his name on every piece of paper concerning my mom, so that it looked like on paper that he was the one taking care of her, because that would have mattered to a judge had I went to go file an administration petition like he did. If the judge was choosing between us, he would have chosen my brother because it looked better on paper that my brother was the one taking care of her. And so that goes to show that the whole time my mom was in the hospital, they were planning on doing this. Knowing that my mom had a will, they still had a plan on going to bypass her will. And I plan to talk about that a little bit more in detail in an upcoming video. That was the only reason they were able to, apparently somebody at Honda allowed my brother's wife to get the information, because she was my brother's power of attorney and was able to speak on his behalf as he was speaking on my mom's behalf. It's like so ridiculous. Their attorney's address, which, by the way, his office wasn't even in. As I started going through my mom's bills now, her electric and all this shit, I realized that Satan had changed the addresses on almost every single bill that my mom had, and they were all going to. I also realized that my brother was not paying any of the bills, even though he was threatening me in his email to stop paying the bills. He wasn't even paying any of them. The last payments he had made on any of the bills was back in December, and it's now May. Now I know I'm up to date on what's going on, okay? Got all my mom's bills current. And the only reason I was able to do so is because my mom had an IRA that she had put beneficiaries on, and we were able to cash that in. And so I had some extra money at the time to lay out, and then I was reimbursed once everything, got done. So I did that. I paid her electric bill. The house is our biggest asset. That is the utmost. By the time I figured all this shit out, my mom's homeowners insurance was 2 days away from lapsing. All the important bills up to date. The end of April, beginning of May, and I'm starting to get kind of impatient. My attorney's not really giving me any information about anything that's going on. So according to this pre-trial order, there was a whole bunch of things that they wanted us to do. His attorney had to answer, or I'm sorry, their attorney had to answer, and by certain dates, and then really the final court date would have been in November. Instead of just calling me up and trying to talk to me like a human being, Dana, who's dealing with enough bullshit on her own. Just leave her alone. So I started getting really pissed off. My aunts, okay? So I was like, I wrote back to my aunts, and I did the same thing my brother did. I copied everybody on the family, only I didn't blind copy them. I CC'd them so that they knew everybody in the family was reading this email.